The coalition of civil society organizations and non-governmental organizations are set to combat corruption in Nigeria, ready to launch attack on corrupt agencies. State that Nigeria has lost a function under the veil of secrecy and lawlessness, allege that the judicial officers have been compromised. As the executive director, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, Hawal Musa disclosed that recruitment of Nigerian youth into criminality has affected the growth of Nigeria, as youth involved in criminal acts.
The public corruption, the official corruption, and the enablers have taken over our country, making life difficult and misery. And as you know, part of the consequences of corruption is the underdevelopment that we face, the inequality, the poverty, the violence, which merchants of violence are all over in the country. This is why we think that we have to join hands at local, state, and national level to fight corruption and strengthen our anti-corruption institutions who are under attack by enablers and the corrupt people who do not want to be investigated, who do not want to be accountable. And we cannot let them to destroy our country. We must do everything possible to support our anti-corruption institutions in Nigeria at state and national level so that they can help to minimize the corruption that is facing us, that is killing us. This when the practitioners in the election riggers have taken over the country, all these dreams and hopes that Nigerians had have been dashed away because of the monumental looting, stealing, violence orchestrated by political, by politicians who are desperate to capture political power for their gains. Therefore, they institutionalize violence, they institutionalize all sorts of criminality just to get in there, and when they get there, it is the key to loot. That is not the aspiration that Nigerian people have, and that was not what Nigerian people have fought for democracy. Today, many serving lawmakers and ministers have corruption allegations against them. This is producing a culture of impunity. There has been several allegations of judicial officers receiving bribes from politicians and politically exposed persons in order to circumvent laws. This has watered down the respect, trust, confidence of citizens in judiciary and negatively impacted in the fight against corruption in Nigeria. Nigerians have witnessed too many situations where courts have granted injunction which deter anti-corruption agencies from inviting and prosecuting corrupt government officials and politically exposed persons in Nigeria. Because what people are doing now, they use dirty money to either rig election, buy election, because it's no longer people's vote now.
Speaking during a press briefing in Abuja, other CSOs and NGOs expressed their mind. Listen to what they have to say.
To effectively combat corruption and make significant strides towards progress, it's crucial to adopt a cohesive strategy that addresses all elements that support Nigeria's growing corruption system. Corruption poses a significant obstacle to establishing effective governance in Nigeria. By diverting resources and subverting transparent systems designed to ensure the delivery of good public services, corruption hinders the nation's capacity to develop. To address the growing crisis facing anti-corruption programs, we recommend the following. 1, growing concerns over the declining levels of autonomy and integrity of the judiciary must be addressed. The National Judicial Council must diligently monitor its members and promptly remove any corrupt judicial officer found to be compromising the judicial system. By doing so, it will significantly contribute to the restoration of sanity and the promotion of accountability within the nation. 2, to truly establish a flourishing democracy, transparency and accountability must be strictly adhered to in governance. This requires holding politicians accountable for their actions and inaction, strengthening institutions to combat corruption, and ensuring that the allocation of resources is done in a fair and equitable manner. Only through these measures can Nigeria overcome its socioeconomic challenges, and build a democracy that truly serves the interests of the citizens.
Statement about the need to uphold the rule of law and accountability. That attacks on institutions that have a mandate of defending our democracy by ensuring public leaders are held to account is a critical work and task for every Nigerian. And I think something we must take from here, that it is reprehensible, is unacceptable, this amount of attacks on anti-corruption agencies. Because what we do when we attack these institutions, especially when they act to advance public interest, we're undermining democracy and the rule of law. And that should not be tolerated.
Our alarm is based on the new dimension that corruption has reached in our country, where it's making it virtually impossible for government to do its work. The work of government is to provide for the welfare and security of Nigerians. And increasingly, government is not able to do that. I think it was Nuhu Ribado when he was in the anti-corruption chair, EFCC, who made the point that you must fight and defeat corruption, or corruption would fight back and defeat you. The alarm we have is that corruption is defeating the Nigerian state at this point in time. The first element of that defeat is that the judiciary provides the response to checkmate corruption. What corruption enablers have done is two things to the judiciary: introduce their friends and relations into positions in the judiciary, and secondly, increase considerably the level of corruption through the bribing of judges. So increasingly, judiciary is no longer able to be a space that provides justice.
Atonda Babatunde, GTV Africa.